Welcome to another edition of Down to the Wire. A beautiful day here at Century Downs. By the time this makes the air, we'll be down to our last weekend. Today we're joined by Race Secretary Tim Lawson.
Thanks for having me on, Jackson.
Tim, we've been kind of talking to everybody as we go throughout the year, both standardbreds and thoroughbreds, and getting a little bit of history. I understand that you're probably a third generation, either horse enthusiast, horse fan, owner, whatever. What is the background?
Well, my family's been involved with horse racing for about 60 plus years. I grew up in the sport. My grandfather owned horses, dating back to the early 1960s. So it is a third generation thing. I've been passionate about horse racing my entire life. I'm lucky enough to call it a career, and I'm proud to kind of keep, I would say, that family legacy going.
For sure, and very young, and it's nice to see young people in the industry. It's tough to attract people. We work weekends, you work holidays. I'm lucky enough that my spouse started in the race business and then got out of the race industry, but it's a whole lot easier to explain our weird entertainment race schedule. What have you been here for 2 years as the race secretary, kind of cutting your teeth, I would say, as a race secretary, some experience in the past. Where have you worked?
Well, when I started off initially, I was thinking back actually the other day, and all of my jobs, even starting out in university when I just had summer work, we're at the track. I started off working at Woodbine just on the grounds crew, working property maintenance, and getting to be around the horses every day. It made me fall in love with it even more. Then I was lucky enough to get internships with both Woodbine Entertainment Group and eventually Keeneland down in Lexington, Kentucky, and that gave me the experience I needed, I would say, to come up here and to kick off, hopefully a long career of working in the racing industry as a racing official. So I've traveled, Western Canada and the U.S., and it's gotten me quite a bit of experience, and I've loved every minute of it.
And of the 2 years that you have been here, what would be the highlight, maybe and low light of that? Weather's always a detriment here at times, but what would be the highlight of the last 2 years for you in the racing season?
You know what? I would say a huge highlight for me is seeing this thoroughbred racing operation come to fruition. I first started out here actually working in the marketing department, ultimately just to get my foot in the door. In racing, as we both know, it can be difficult to find something full-time in the racing industry, regardless of what department it's in. And there was always talks about getting thoroughbred racing here. I would say it was more of a thought when I first came here, and when it became more of a reality, I would say, starting at the beginning of 2017, and it started to sink in that this was actually happening, and the dates got approved. That was one of the best moments, all the way up to the horses hitting the track for that very first race in September of 2017. It was a bit surreal for me, especially being a racing secretary for the first time and putting that first card together. From a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint, that was a huge moment in my life, and it was great for the company. It was great for racing in Alberta, and on a more personal note, I was really proud of it. Not only for myself but for our whole team.
And Tim, also you were part of Century Mile right from the beginning as well. You've been sitting in on a lot of meetings. What does that mean to you, the province of Alberta, and horse racing in general?
I think the word that you can emphasize with the completion of Century Mile is longevity, in the sense that horse racing has a home for the foreseeable future in Alberta, and that home is a world-class facility that I believe is going to attract horsemen from all over Western Canada and hopefully all over Canada. And what it's going to do, and I strongly believe it's going to do, is build the racing program in Alberta to something that is world class, and something that I think everybody wants to see in the future, for both breeds, or for all three breeds rather, for quarter horse racing, standardbreds, and thoroughbreds. It's a mile racetrack. You've got that long stretch. You've got state-of-the-art facilities. There's nothing not to like about that, and it's definitely exciting. I think everybody who's involved in the racing industry in Alberta should have something to look forward to. It's going to be an amazing place.
For sure, and those that aren't involved in racing maybe as tight as we are, go on the website and take a look at Century Mile Racetrack and Casino. It's well on its way. The building's all enclosed. They'll be working on it all winter. The track's being laid down as we speak. The rail that we're looking at here is also going up. It's exciting times for horse racing. There's going to be spring training there starting in March. The casino will open up in April, and live thoroughbred racing in May. Kind of on that note, Tim, I'm going to ask you about this. You have elected to take a position down in Ontario. We know you're from Ontario. Again, you talked about earlier in the interview, it's tough to find a full-time job in this business. You've been granted that wish, or that opportunity, I guess is a better word. Tell us a little bit what and when you're leaving.
Well, I would say, mixed emotions. I am leaving to start a new position with Woodbine Entertainment Group as the assistant racing secretary at Woodbine at Mohawk Park. It's new for me. It's full-time in standardbred racing, which at the same time I am very excited about. Being a thoroughbred guy going over to standardbred racing full-time. It's a new challenge, I would say, and that's exactly what I look forward to about it. Like Alberta, Ontario had been going through a bit of a transition period with their racing industry over the past few years. They've got a bright future ahead of them, and I'm very excited, to see what Woodbine has, especially on their standardbred side for the future. They're at Mohawk Park full-time for racing all year round starting this year. I think that can do nothing but good for that product there, and I'm just more than happy to be a part of it.
Well, on that note, on behalf of all the staff and management here, as well as the patrons and the thoroughbred industry in particular, but all breeds, we wish you the very best of luck. I know you'll keep in touch. I think you'll probably send horses out here on the thoroughbred side because of the world-class facility, and you'll be promoting everything for us. So all the best to you. Keep in touch, and it's been great working with you.
Thank you very much.